Greetings, fellow pagans! Today we are making Viking fire starters, or in other words, flint and steel, a tool that has been in use for more than 3,000 years, one of the most effective ways of making fires. This tool itself is difficult to produce since it requires a high carbon type of steel that allows it to spark, which is difficult to create first of all, but second of all, is very expensive. We're starting out flattening the two ends of the steel. We're using steel from an old file, since this is one of the best types of steels that you can use to make this. There are different types of steels that will spark, but this one sparks by far the best, in my personal opinion. However, once it becomes close to not being red hot anymore, you have to stop because otherwise the steel will shatter. It is one of the more difficult steels to forge with. The forming of the material itself is comparatively simple. It is really just about not creating cracks and not, well, messing it up. Rounding off the arms normally gives a much better look than not doing that. So that's always something you have to keep in mind when making this. These tools are my absolute favorite way of creating fire, since they sort of create an ember, and it is so very easy to create fire. It almost creates itself, really. You know, first it cracked on this side here, and that was annoying, so I just sort of shortened it. Then it cracked on this side, and then, now, it did it again. I hate working in this steel. I hate this. This is the only one. This is one of the reasons why I only have 2 of these for sale, because they crack very, 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 very easily, and I lose patience with that. Holy shit. 3 fucking times. Fantastic, fan-fucking-tastic. Right, with these 2 sides now dragged out to the point where I feel certain it won't break, and they're equally as long, I will try to fold it, and I will make this more triangular, and yeah, I hope for the best. One of the reasons why this can be so frustrating is that you can forge and almost be done with it, and then it suddenly cracks. It won't show immediately. This is why it's so very important as soon as it's not hot anymore to throw it in the fire. I mean, that I did there was actually risky. If these flint and steels were made in a historical manner, only the very edge of it would be made of high carbon steel to sort of preserve the amount of high carbon steel used on one singular fire starter. This is because high carbon steel is very, very expensive. I'll also make it as round as possible to give it as much of the artistic feel. That's a good start. I'll do that. I'll give it a go again. Didn't get nearly as far. However, I don't want to do anything here that might risk it cracking. So once it goes out of being red hot, it's in the fire again. I don't care how far I go. Getting further. As you can see here, we have a beautiful fire starter. All it needs now is really to be hardened. All we really need is to flatten this piece out here. Now what we're doing is just really flattening it out, the entire thing, and dropping it. That's always necessary. You have to remember dropping it, because it increases the amount of drops it can last once it's done being forged, you know. You don't want something to be dropped and it cracks, you know. So if you drop it while this is a bunch of bullshit, but yeah. Here comes the exciting point, because so many things can happen while hardening. And I dropped it. Very good. Very, very good. Now, the ingenious design of this is that if I ever do drop something, I can pick it up. However, we're going to let this harden until we can't hear anything anymore, which is around now. Pick it up. Just absolutely ingenious this here. Very good. The hardening having gone almost the way I wanted it to, it's time to test out whether or not it sparks. Now where we have this fire starter here, which looks pretty close to what I wanted to. Not only that, I did find a archaeological find of a fire starter that was a bit off center like this one is. So we're actually, by doing something wrong, gotten closer to what we wanted. However, it is now filled with this oil here, and we want this to be clear steel, so when we strike, sparks will come off, because right now all these slacks here won't spark or anything. So the first couple of strikes will be without any sort of spark, and then suddenly it'll start sparking. It's one of my favorite things with making these. Now, I do realize from this angle I do look very fat, and it's not my best angle. However, I didn't want to filter myself and make a fake idea of myself. I feel as if that's a toxic trend upon the internet. A bit of flint here. You can see nothing. Nothing. But all we're doing is scratching off the slack. That is the first spark. I don't know if that caught on video. Probably didn't. But there's some more. There's two more. Now it starts sparking. As you can see, we're really just scratching clear all the slack. This is an essential tool in any society, something that you can easily access to create fire. We have found plenty of these throughout the ages. We know it's a very old tool. It would be a tool that would be carried around by everyone and be a common skill to create fire this way. It was essential for everyone to know how to keep oneself warm, especially in a climate that looks different from ours. As the Vikings loved doing, there's also been found finds of these tools that are incredibly decorated in different sort of metals and decoration works of different sorts, because this tool would also look fancier the higher up in society you would be. Now, the tool itself will not light something like a leaf on fire just like that. It needs a material like char cloth or a certain type of mushroom that goes really dry, which I don't have access to, but I will try to experiment on it once I have it.
If you're up for the challenge, I definitely suggest forging one of these for yourself, because it is a fun little project and it's definitely rewarding once you have a fully functioning tool.
Something to keep in mind is that these tools are hardened and brittle. This is something that allows them to, well, spark, but also can make them break if you, I don't know, throw them on the ground or something. They aren't as tough as hardened and normalized steel. This is so you can get the max spark out of it. However, if you normalize it, you will lose the... It might still spark a bit, but not nearly as much as it did before. So in essence, it isn't fragile like glass or something, however, but it's more fragile than other steel objects you may have on you. I encourage anyone to know how to make fires with flint and steel, because it's a simple skill that really helps with one's ability to create fire, because a lot of people struggle with making fire and they'll just throw gasoline on it or something ridiculous, but it doesn't really work that way. Making an actual fire is a lot simpler, and you don't need gasoline or these liquids or anything. You just need something dry, some char cloth and flint and steel, and you'll have a bonfire in no time. It's really easy, so I really recommend you to try it.
Feel free to make comments about future videos or this video or what you would like to see being made, inaccuracies if there are any, I love constructive criticism. Otherwise, I'll see you soon.